The following content may contain visuals that are disturbing, graphic, or sensitive in nature. Viewer discretion is advised. This material is intended for mature audiences and may not be suitable for all viewers. Please exercise caution while watching, and if you find such content distressing, we recommend discontinuing viewing. This disclaimer is provided to ensure awareness and to prioritize viewer well-being.
Hello and welcome to News 9. I'm Verghese Abraham. Today is in fact day 49 of the war between Israel and Hamas. Let's get you the latest update on your screens regarding what is happening on that front. Meanwhile, ceasefire between Israel and Hamas war to begin from 7 a.m. local time. We understand that the first group of captives held in Gaza is to be released today afternoon. Israel steps up attacks across Gaza ahead of the pause. There has been intense airstrikes and bombardments as well as raids even in West Bank that has been reported. Israeli forces strike Indonesian hospital premises, as especially the main gates. Israel's military arrests director of the al-Shifa hospital. At least 14,532 Palestinians have been killed in this war. We are also understanding that fighting has continued across the Lebanon-Israel border, which is the area where we find that another point of worry that is coming in with Hezbollah, in fact, raking up the tensions in that area. Fighting continues across this region as well. Israeli forces and Hamas terrorists will begin a 4-day ceasefire from today. 13 Israeli women and children have been taken as hostages from October 7th are expected to be released during today. Now, the ceasefire will begin 7 a.m. on Friday, and that first hostage release is due to take place at 4 p.m. A Qatari foreign ministry spokesperson has confirmed over the developments that the hostage release is part of that particular deal for truce. The spokesperson confirmed that they expect aid to start moving into Gaza through the Rafah crossing and soon as the ceasefire begins. Now, both sides have agreed to resume the fight after the temporary pause. We have information also coming in that the efforts are on to ensure that the ceasefire and the pause continues without any sort of military aggressions taking place from both the areas. However, interestingly enough, we had Daniel Hagari said that these were in fact complicated days and nothing is certain. These are the quotes of Daniel Hagari. He went on to say that even during this process, there could be changes and control over the northern Gaza in the first step of the long war, and that they were preparing for the next stage in the war. This is according to the IDF spokesperson. And meanwhile, it is also being said that before the ceasefire, Israel did step up its attack on Gaza. Israeli jets hit over 300 targets and the troops engaged in fighting around Jabalia refugee camp. Hamas is believed to have taken at least 240 Israelis as hostages during its October 7th deadly assault and attack. In the deal struck between Israel and Hamas brokered by Qatar, Egypt and US, it is expected that 50 Israeli hostages will be returned in exchange for the 4-day pause in hostilities and the release of 150 Palestinians. Reports are coming in that Hamas has made further demands to the already delayed hostage truce deal. Now, citing an Israeli government source, the report said that additional demands have been made so far, though it's not clear that those demands are. Now, Hamas originally said that the deal was supposed to go into effect this morning But late last night, Israel noted that it was not going to begin until at least tomorrow. Now, Qatar has promised an update on the situation imminently. There are reports coming in that Hamas has in fact gone ahead and made those extra demands, and Israel is still looking into the matter. The ceasefire was supposed to begin from today, but all expectations are on that the ceasefire will begin despite the additional demands that have been made by Hamas.
אנחנו מנסים לחבר בין מטרות המלחמה שהלחץ בתמרון הוא זה שיביא את היכולת להשיג גם את מטרת המלחמה הזו, לייצר את התנאים לשחרור החטופים. אנחנו לא מסיימים את המלחמה. אנחנו ממשיכים עד הניצחון והולכים קדימה וממשיכים באזורים אחרים של חמאס.
Well, reports are coming in that when it comes to the extra demands that are being made by Hamas, there is a clear demand that has been made saying that there are reports of extra demands that have come in that has held up the negotiations. But however, it is being said that the truce will begin from today, though Qatar is in talks with the Hamas leadership on the new demands that have been, or the additional demands that have been put forward by Hamas. Meanwhile, Israeli authorities are saying that the war will continue on the ground, and they said that they will not stop until they have secured all their military objectives. Coming in from area where a tunnel was in fact found just underneath the al-Shifa hospital. You know, it is the largest of the tunnels that we have in fact seen in the area, and what we are So this is one of the concerning facts with regard to the images coming in, especially of the tunnels that are found in that area. Israeli army has been destroying several tunnels that they have come across in that particular area. Mohammed Abu Salmiya, the director of Gaza's largest hospital, has been arrested by the Israeli army along with other senior doctors from al-Shifa hospital, the largest medical facility in the Gaza Strip. This is coming in from the reports in that region. Salmiya was arrested on suspicion of allowing the hospital be used by Hamas as an operations center. A joint statement issued by the IDF and Shin Bet stated Salmiya was arrested along with several other senior doctors. Khalid Abu Samra, a chief of the department of the hospital, has confirmed that several doctors have been taken into custody, especially in al-Shifa. According to reports, Salmiya was detained as he was moving to evacuate to the south of the strip via an IDF-opened humanitarian corridor. The United Nations Children's Agency, UNICEF, has said that Gaza Strip is the most dangerous place in the world to be a child. UNICEF Executive Director Catherine Russell told the United Nations Security Council that more than 5,300 Palestinian children had reportedly been killed since October, when Palestinian militants had attacked Israel on October 7th and had taken captives as well as killed several people in the southern Israeli settlements. Israel had launched a war against Palestine, and the UNICEF, which has been monitoring the situation on the ground, has said that Gaza has become one of the dangerous places for children, and it has become quite a worry for them. It is being said that over 5,300 children, Palestinian children, have been killed in this war. Israel has focused its retaliation against Hamas in Gaza, a territory which is populated with 2.3 million people. Israel is now carrying out with its military objectives in the north of Gaza and has said that they will go ahead and ensure that the objectives are extended to the southern part of Gaza as well. Meanwhile, injured children were taken to Nazar Hospital in Khan Yunis while war continued in the Gaza Strip. A proposed truce and release of hostages was expected to take place. However, it was delayed for today. According to Palestinian media, at least 15 people were killed in the airstrikes on Khan Yunis. Israel on Wednesday had agreed to the ceasefire with Hamas for 4 days to let the humanitarian aid and free at least 50 hostages held by terrorists, and Israel in return agreed to free 150 Palestinians. German authorities searched 15 properties in connection with a recent ban on the activities of Hamas as well as the pro-Palestinian group Samidan. Now, the German Interior Ministry said that it has carried out with these raids to ensure that they do not create some kind of trouble within Germany and for Germany's relations with Israel. The searches in 4 German states are intended to enforce the ban as well as clear up illegal structures of the Hamas, which has been designated as a terrorist organization in the country. Now, according to the ministry, there are around 450 members of Hamas in Germany whose activities range from support and propaganda to financing and the collection of donations.
Wir stehen nicht nur solidarisch an der Seite Israels und der jüdischen Menschen auf der ganzen Welt und vor allen Dingen natürlich in Deutschland, sondern wir handeln auch, und das zeigen die neuerlichen Maßnahmen heute, die Exekutivmaßnahmen, die wir infolge der Verbote von Hamas und Samidun vollzogen haben.
The British Foreign Minister David Cameron on Thursday visited the site of an Israeli kibbutz, which was targeted during the deadly attack by Hamas gunmen on October 7th, in which 1,200 people were killed. He was shown a number of destroyed rooms in kibbutz Be'eri, along with visiting one of the scenes of the October 7th attack. During Cameron's visit to the region, it is expected that he would be meeting with Israeli and Palestinian leaders. David Cameron, who was recently appointed as the Foreign Secretary, the Foreign Minister for the United Kingdom, has toured the region and has also visited kibbutz Be'eri, where he was given a tour of what was happening inside the kibbutz, especially on October 7th when the attack had happened. He was shown the destroyed homes in the settlement as well as the rampage that was carried out by the terrorists on October 7th in that particular kibbutz. David Cameron is expected to speak with Palestinian authorities as well as the Israeli leadership on the continuing offensive in the region and to speak about the possibility of bringing peace in West Asia.
I've heard things and seen things that obviously I will never forget, and it's important we understand that. Today is also a day where we hope to see this humanitarian pause. I think that's important because it's an opportunity to get hostages out and to get aid in, and I hope and would urge everyone who's involved in that agreement to make sure that it happens.
Israeli forces were operating in the Israeli-occupied West Bank city of Nablus on Thursday. Palestinian officials' news agency Rafah said that one Palestinian was killed by Israeli army gunfire during the raid in the Balata camp in the city. Residents said that Israeli forces stormed the camp overnight with dozens of military vehicles and that clashes were taking place in the camp between a number of Palestinian gunmen and the Israeli army. These are in fact visuals of the situation that came up in Nablus, where we can see Israeli forces trying to move into the Palestinian town, and Palestinian gunmen have opened fire against the Israeli army, and the gun battle had continued in that region. Israel has taken up raids in the West Bank region as well. Authorities from the Palestinian news agency say that at least one person has been killed in the firing between Israeli army and the Palestinian gunmen. Residents of Rafah said several people were killed in an Israeli airstrike one day ahead of the anticipated truce between Israel and Hamas. The airstrike targeted the Owaida family building in eastern Rafah, according to eyewitnesses, leading to some of the skeptical of the effectiveness of the proposed ceasefire. There have been anger on the ground, especially when the Israelis carried out with the airstrikes, and despite the talks of truce happening, bombardment of certain neighborhoods of Gaza has been going on despite the truce going to set in from today. Many of them have said what could be the effectiveness of the ceasefire if the bombing continued. Airstrikes have continued in the Rafah area. Many airstrikes have taken place in the area, especially ahead of the proposed truce. Several areas within Gaza have been reduced to rubble as the airstrikes had continued just ahead of the truce talks that was happening. Meanwhile, war raged on in Gaza on Thursday as the proposed truce and release of hostages was delayed for at least another day. Columns of smoke from the blast rose from the northern Gaza scene from southern Israel. Israel said that the release of hostages, meant to be accompanied by the war's first ceasefire, would be delayed for at least by Friday. Intense fighting continued on Thursday as well, just ahead of the truce that is supposed to take place from today. There were reports coming in that many areas within Gaza were in fact bombed, as well as military operations continued. Columns of smoke could be seen in the Gaza region, especially from southern Israel, after the military operations in those regions. These are in fact visuals that show from southern Israel the columns of smoke rising up in that particular region, especially after the military operations that were being carried out in that region. Meanwhile, Palestinians surged through the rubble in Rafah after the Israeli airstrikes. Now, the city is located along the southern Gaza border with Egypt and has come under several attacks. Water, fuel and medical supplies are running out across the region. Despite a proposed truce and hostage release being delayed, rescuers and local workers in fact work to find anyone trapped in the damaged buildings. Israel shared a video alleging a Hamas tunnel entrance beneath a civilian's home. Situated on a street it claims runs parallel to the al-Shifa hospital. The footage shows Israel's military spokesperson Daniel Hagari inspecting the damaged house, where Israeli troops found what they assert is the tunnel entrance showcased with a chalkboard in the room. Take a look.
רגע, עוד לא קדימה. אוקיי. ניכנס לפה.
אי אפשר, אנחנו לא יכולים כולם ביחד. We cannot do it, everybody together.
You can see here a small kitchen.
באמת.
אני לא יודע, תגיד מה לעשות, אני אעשה.
And here another bathroom. from for this direction, you will see the room that they stay inside with beds. With beds and also the air condition. And as I told you, this
that if they provoke Israel, Israel will not go for a ground operation. They were wrong.
Well, Larnaca in Cyprus is to become the hub for international aid for Gaza. Cypriot officials have confirmed efforts for a maritime aid corridor for the island's southern port of Larnaca to the Gaza Strip are on the home stretch. Israel has agreed to the plan, but technical issues remain to be solved. To rage on the Gaza on Thursday as a truce, and which was expected to take place on Thursday, was delayed by another day. The Israeli army released videos on Thursday. It claimed showed strikes on Hamas targets in Gaza. The Israeli military said it had launched 300 airstrikes and sounded sirens warning of cross-border rocket launches by Hamas. Israeli strikes were reported in the northern areas as well as in the southern city of Khan Yunis, where Israel has asked northern residents to seek shelter. Meanwhile, efforts are going on, especially in Cyprus, to make it the hub for international aid for Gaza. Cypriot officials have also said that they would try to do their best when it comes to giving that particular corridor of aid for the region. However, there is some concerns as well. Take a look.
This is the heart of a plan by the Cypriot government to send international aid to Gaza. Larnaca port here is just under 400 kilometers away. The Cypriot government says Israel will not oppose the plan, as long as its officials can check what's loaded onto ships bound for Gaza.
Now we've proceeded from the political to the technical part of it. So we've seen that they support politically the implementation, the realization of the corridor, and now we're at the part where technical issues are being resolved.
Getting the aid ships out to sea should be simple enough. The biggest issue would be how to unload them in Gaza. The port there has not been fully functional since Israel's blockade from 2007, and Israel has bombed the area since the October 7th terror attack. The Cypriots' plan could build a temporary floating port just off the coast. They say this could dramatically speed up the delivery of aid. One ship can carry 500 times what a truck can. In Nicosia, the Cypriot Red Cross says it's in communication with the government and can move aid like this quickly.
We are ready at any time and we have such warehouses smaller in all the districts. So we're ready at any time within the hour.
This command centre next to Larnaca Airport coordinates between 21 countries when it comes to evacuations from crisis zones. It's been operational since 2016. It's set to play a major role in the humanitarian aid corridor plans.
Certain precondition is to have a different security environment to be able to proceed with the implementation of this idea. But of course we are in contact parallelly to those preparations with all stakeholders involved.
France, Greece and the Netherlands are all keen to get aid moving here quickly.
Meanwhile, Argentinian hostages' families have appealed for rescue mediation, as well as Argentinian government is at its wits' end to rescue its 21 citizens in Gaza, including 4 minors who are being held by Hamas for more than a month. Take a look.
Michaela Rudaev is a teacher and volunteer at a Jewish community center in Buenos Aires. She decorates the synagogue and organizes events. Her cousin is among the Argentine nationals kidnapped by Hamas a month ago. She last saw him on a family visit to Israel 23 years ago, but they kept in close touch. His name is Leo Rudev. He's 61 years old.
It's a nightmare, isn't it? There are nights I can't sleep. At first I was desperate. On October 7th, he was the first person I sent messages to. I knew he would answer me because he works in security. I said, he has to answer me. But he was the only one who didn't respond.
10-month-old baby Kfir Bibas was also abducted, the youngest of 4 Argentine children and teenagers being held by Hamas. Argentina has the largest Jewish community in Latin America. Michaela is demanding that the Israeli and Argentine governments take action to secure the release of her cousin and the others.
2 weeks ago, the president of Israel promised my uncle they would do everything possible to find my cousin. But it's been a month now and nobody knows anything. So I'm demanding that the Argentine government, the president and the foreign minister please do something instead of just standing behind a microphone.
Earlier this month, President Alberto Fernandez and his foreign minister met with representatives of Jewish organizations. Among them, the delegation of Argentine Jewish associations. Its vice president said they handed over a 58,000-strong petition demanding the release of the hostages. Hopes were raised more than 2 weeks ago after Egypt and Qatar mediated to secure the release of 2 Israeli and 2 American women.
We demand the president exhaust all means at his disposal to make this happen through the United Nations and the International Red Cross. It would be a good thing to make Argentina's voice heard by the countries that are mediating.
Journalist Jaime Rosenberg is covering the case for one of the country's largest daily newspapers, La Nación.
Realistically, what the Argentine government can do is very limited. It made contact with the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank. There is no Argentine diplomatic representation in Gaza, and at the same time it reached out to 2 countries, Egypt and Qatar, and the Red Cross, which could mediate in some way.
And so Michaela and other relatives of hostages wait and hope for news of their loved ones.
Moving on, in Jammu and Kashmir's Rajouri, another soldier lost his life on Thursday during an encounter following the tragic death of 4 soldiers, including 2 captains, the day before. The army reported the killing of 2 Lashkar-e-Taiba militants, including a Pakistani national suspected in recent attacks. The encounter unfolded in Bazimal Upper Forests on Wednesday, with the fallen soldiers identified as Captain M.V. Pranjal, Captain Shubham Gupta, Havildar Abdul Majid, Lance Naik Sanjay Bisht and paratrooper Sachin Lord. One militant named Quarry, a Pakistani national skilled in IEDs and sniping, was eliminated. The army revealed Quarry's involvement in the attacks that claimed 7 civilians and 5 soldiers. Security forces acting on intelligence had been combing the area for several days. The encounter ensued during a joint operation, resulting in the recovery of weapons and explosives. The situation underscores the persistent threat in the region, marked by recent terrorist activities and security operations. Today, the soldiers' remains will be sent to their hometown with military honors. There was a heartfelt wreath-laying ceremony scheduled at Rajouri Government Hospital, according to sources. Actor Prakash Raj faces Enforcement Directorate scrutiny in a 100 crore Ponzi scheme involving Pranav Jewellers, where he served as the brand ambassador. The jeweler, accused of running a fraudulent gold investment scheme, saw its stores close in October amid investigations. The Economic Offences Wing filed a case against the owner Madan, issuing lookout notices. Prakash Raj, yet to comment, has been summoned for questioning. The Enforcement Directorate alleges Pranav Jewellers diverted funds, cheated investors and failed to deliver promised returns. Entry providers confessed to facilitating the scheme. The ED's investigation centers on the misappropriation of 100 crores. Well, the Indian government is gearing up to combat deepfakes, revealed Minister Ashwini Vaishnav. He emphasized the urgency of addressing this new societal threat where AI is used to create realistic yet false audio and video content. Following a meeting with tech experts and social media representatives, the focus will be on detecting, preventing, reporting and raising awareness about deep fakes. The minister warned that social media platforms could lose legal immunity if they don't act. Prime Minister Modi expressed concern recounting a non-deepfake incident involving a lookalike. The government aims to draft regulations in the coming weeks to tackle this issue. Rajiv Chandrasekhar has assured that they are working on a framework, maybe even a new law, to keep Indians safe from deepfakes and widespread misinformation. Ashwini Vaishnav conducted a meeting on November 23rd, and today Rajiv Chandrasekhar will talk about the platforms about this matter. They want to make sure our safety and trust aren't threatened by the fake stuff, is what Rajiv Chandrasekhar has said while addressing reporters on the matter. The tunnel collapse in Uttarkashi, in which around 41 workers are trapped, it happened on November 12th. Debris is now in fact said to be blocking the particular area as well. Let's take a look at what are the latest developments on that front. It is being said that on day 13, the drilling will resume today by around 9 a.m. There was a problem with the drilling because the auger machine was not working well at that time. Drilling was halted yesterday after this technical snag in that auger machine. Meanwhile, CM Dhami is on the site and he was monitoring the rescue operations all night. Rescuers have drilled up to 46.8 meters in the Silkriya tunnel region, and 41 ambulances at the Silkriya tunnel site have already been kept in place. Workers will be rescued by the end of today, is what officials are saying. We are in fact awaiting some kind of confirmation on that particular aspect as well. Meanwhile, there have been incidents in which they are trying to installing a pipe inside the tunnel for rescue, but things have hit a snag because of the auger machine not in fact working well. Chief Minister Pushkar Dhami has been monitoring the situation all night, is what we understand, and there has been a bit of the snag that has been taking into look. Let's in fact take a look at what Dhami had to say after monitoring the operations happening at the tunnel site.
हाँ, गब्बर सिंह जी, मैं पुष्कर सिंह धामी बोल रहा हूँ। राम राम, कैसे हैं आप लोग? अच्छा, चलिए भाई, बहुत हम लोग बिल्कुल पास पहुंच गए हैं और बड़ी आप लोगों की हिम्मत है और बहुत ही आप लोगों के लिए सब लोग प्रार्थना कर रहे हैं यहाँ, और हम लोगों को उम्मीद भी है। मैं भी रात से आ गया हूँ, जनरल साहब भी आ गए हैं यहाँ पर, और प्रधानमंत्री जी रोज आप लोगों के बारे में रोज चिंता कर रहे हैं, रोज अपडेट लेते हैं मुझे सवेरे 7 बजे। आज भी अभी आया है, अभी बताया है, बिल्कुल 45 मीटर से आगे हम लोग आ गए हैं और मुश्किल से 10 मीटर और आना है। बीच बीच में क्या है कि सरिया वगैरह आ जा रही है ना, ये तो हाँ, तो आप लोगों को पता ही है। थोड़ा सा ये है कि हिम्मत बता के, और किसी सबकी तबीयत वगैरह अच्छी ठीक है ना वहाँ पर? चलिए, नहीं चिंता एक्चुअली में नहीं, बहुत सब लोगों की दुआ है कि जल्दी से जल्दी सब लोग बाहर आ जाएंगे। हम लोग प्रार्थना कर रहे हैं और यहाँ पर सारी चीज़ें, एम्बुलेंस की व्यवस्था कर रखी है बाहर, जैसे आप लोग बाहर आएंगे, अस्पताल की व्यवस्था है, उसके अलावा जो भी सब इंतजाम हो सकते हैं वो सारे के सारे हम लोग कर रहे हैं। और बहुत बड़ा ऑपरेशन चल रहा है, पूरे देश भर से सारी मशीनें यहाँ पर आई हुई हैं, सारे एक्सपर्ट आए हुए हैं, विदेशों के भी आए हुए हैं। ये सारी बातें सबको पता, चलिए बहुत है, ठीक है। खाना वाना पहुँच जा रहा है अभी, पानी है अंदर। हाँ बिल्कुल टेंशन नहीं लेनी है, और सबको बिल्कुल जो है कहिए कि बस जल्दी से जल्दी, और आप ही लोगों को नहीं है, आप लोगों के लिए पूरा देश लगा हुआ है, ठीक है ना। और अभी प्रधानमंत्री जी को मैंने बताया है कि उन्होंने कहा कि भाई कब तक क्या संभावना है, मैंने कहा बहुत जल्दी की संभावना है और हो जाएगा, है ना। हाँ सब लगे हैं बिल्कुल, यहाँ हेलीकॉप्टर वगैरह भी सब व्यवस्था कर रखी है। अगर किसी को बाहर आते कोई मेडिकल वगैरह की भी जरूरत पड़ेगी तो उसके लिए भी हम लोग सब व्यवस्था कर रहे हैं। तो ठीक है, सबका ध्यान रखिए, और बिल्कुल जो है बस जल्दी से जल्दी अब तो भगवान की प्रार्थना करनी है हम लोगों को कि जल्दी से जल्दी बाकी एक्सपर्ट लोग और जितने भी हमारे टेक्नीशियन हैं, ये इंजीनियर हैं, सब अपना काम कर रहे हैं, ठीक है ना। हाँ हाँ, गुड मॉर्निंग, कैसे हैं आप? कौन बोल रहे हैं? अरे सबा भाई, सब ठीक है ना? चलिए ठीक है, तो आप लोगों के घर तक सब, आप लोगों के जो तस्वीर वगैरह जो वीडियो से आया था वो सब चला गया है, सब लोगों को बता दीजिए। घर वाले भी जो है सब लोग अभी जो है बिल्कुल आश्वस्त हैं सब, कि आपने जो है सबका जितना मनोबल बना के रखा है यहाँ पर। मुझे सबकी जानकारी है आपके बारे में और नेगी जी के बारे में, दोनों लोगों के बारे में। आप लोगों ने जो है पूरी टीम को एकजुट रखा और स्वस्थ हैं सब लोग। आप लोग चलिए ध्यान रखिए, अब बिल्कुल हम लोग पास में पहुंच गए, तो पता ही है आप लोगों को ना। हाँ, कल रात को वो जो सरिया वरिया कुछ आ गए थे बीच में ना, बीच में गट, हाँ लेकिन काट दिया है सब, काट दिया है। अभी जनरल बीके सिंह साहब भी आए हुए हैं, माननीय मंत्री जी ना, हाँ साथी में हैं। और प्रधानमंत्री जी लगातार आप लोगों के बारे में रोज चिंता कर रहे हैं, रोज सारी जानकारी ले रहे हैं, और सब लोगों को उन्होंने लगा रखा है। पूरे देश भर के इंजीनियर लगे हैं, विशेषज्ञ लगे हैं सारे, है ना। विदेशों के भी आए हैं, अर्नल्ड जी, वो भी जो है।
Meanwhile, international expert Arnold Dix has mentioned that some difficulties with the machine, but details are quite unclear. But let's listen to what Arnold had to say.
So you would have probably yesterday felt the excitement in the air. We thought that maybe we would see these 41 people yesterday, and then we thought we'd see them this morning, and then we thought we'd see them at lunchtime, and then we thought we'd see them in the afternoon. And what's happened is the auger machine, which is very, very powerful, building this tunnel through the avalanche material, it's finding it really hard, and it's teasing us because we're only just meters away from having a passage for our children to come back, but the machine is run out of, it's like a little bit broken, and also we've hit things that we were hoping we wouldn't hit, and the things that we hit, they're like machines, like you see the big machine up on the hill. There's one of them in there. There's a big dumper in there. There's all these machines, and there's the crushed tunnel. So we're trying to find a path through all of this and the rocks and everything. And almost we've done it, but we seem to have hit something. So we've paused. The machine's being repaired right now. It should be back in operation tomorrow. And we're thinking how we'll approach it again tomorrow. And but I'm not upset about that. And the reason I'm not upset, which sounds very strange, I'm disappointed, yes, but I'm not upset because the men are safe. The men are warm. The men are fed. The men have got medicine. It's the only disaster I ever am aware of where a mountain catches some men, doesn't hurt them, gives them food and shelter, keeps them warm, just doesn't let them go home. If I have to choose my disasters, I'll choose this one. And the team from India that I'm working with are just fantastic because they value human life and they're cooperating with each other. So it's the federal government, the state government, the army, the air force, the Coal India, the Geological Survey, all these people all cooperating. So it's just wonderful. Hard. I don't know when they're coming out. I don't know how they're coming out. I know they're coming out. I just don't know when. And we're not going to hurt anybody on the process. It should be running again tomorrow. But I've got to say, from my personal point of view, because it's night time and there's no one here listening, our secret conversation, this will be the third time the machine has broken. So I'm becoming a little bit impatient with that machine, because that's 3 times that we've thought that machine was going to deliver these 41 people to us, and it's failed. So I'm in the mood to try something else, because I think the mountain's spoken. The mountain's saying, you know what? This is my feeling. The mountain's saying maybe this isn't going to work. Now, the other possibility is we're being teased, and maybe tomorrow morning we have them. I don't know. But I know they're coming out. I feel they're coming out. I just don't know when. Yeah, about 45 metres, yeah. We're nearly there. That's what I mean. We are so close. Like, we're a length of a bus away. We're so close, having come so far. But in a mountain, close isn't good enough.
अभी सिचुएशन काफ़ी ठीक है, क्योंकि रात में हमें 2 हिस्सों पे काम करना था. एक तो जो मशीन का प्लेटफॉर्म उसको पुख्ता करना था, रिवैम्प करना था, वो आराम से हमने रिवैम्प कर दिया. और रिवैम्प करने के बाद फिर मशीन चला करके ऑगर को निकाल दिया. और पाइप के मुंह पर जहाँ पर थोड़ा सा कहीं पे दबाव था, उसको दबाव को हटाने के लिए पाइप को काटने का काम अभी चल रहा है. और मैं उम्मीद करता हूँ अगले घंटे में वो काम हमारा कंप्लीट हो जाना चाहिए. वो कंप्लीट हो जाने के बाद फिर हम जो हमारी नॉर्मल प्रक्रिया है ऑगर ड्रिलिंग की, उसके लिए अपनी तैयारी करेंगे. मशीन में ऑगर भेजेंगे, वेल्ड करेंगे नया हिस्सा, और फिर जोड़ करके नई ड्रिलिंग शुरू करेंगे. उसमें हमारे लिए एक बहुत बड़ा पॉजिटिव है, जैसे मैं कह रहा था पहले कुछ साथियों से आपके, कि पार्सन्स कंपनी ने ग्राउंड पेनिट्रेशन रडार से जो स्टडी की है, उसमें हमने ये पाया है कि अगले 5 मीटर तक 45 के बियॉन्ड कोई मेटेलिक ऑब्स्ट्रक्शन नहीं है. इसका मतलब साफ है कि हमारी जो ड्रिलिंग है वो स्मूथ होनी चाहिए. क्योंकि जो मैं कह रहा था, जब हम पुराना मलबा निकाल रहे थे, उसमें हमें 2 मैंगल्ड पाइप्स, बिल्कुल ही घूमे हुए मुड़े हुए पाइप्स मिले हैं. इसका मतलब पहले वो कहीं हमारे लिए उलझन कर रहे थे. अब हमारी उम्मीद काफ़ी अच्छी बनी हुई है. काम हमने बहुत सहज तरीके से कर दिया है, जिसका प्रमाण ये है कि उसके ऊपर मशीन रात में चला करके हमने ऑगर को वापस खींच लिया है. उसके बाद पाइप के मुंह पर थोड़ी सी अड़चन थी, पिचकन थी. उस पिचकन को निकालने के लिए हमारे पास एक ही साधन है कि उस 1-1.5 मीटर के हिस्से को हम काट कर बाहर करें. तो जैसे केला छीलते हैं, वैसी स्ट्रिप्स में पहले गोल काट करके, फिर लंबा काट करके, छोटी छोटी स्ट्रिप्स पहले नीचे से फिर ऊपर से काट करके हम बाहर निकालने का काम इस समय कर रहे हैं. क्योंकि थोड़ा सा डिफ़िकल्ट काम है, इसलिए उसमें समय लग रहा है. लेकिन मुझे उम्मीद है कि अगले 1-1.5 घंटे के अंदर वो काम हमारा कंप्लीट हो जाना चाहिए. वो काम कंप्लीट होने के बाद फिर हम जो नॉर्मल हमारा ड्रिलिंग का काम है वो हम चालू करेंगे.
Well, these are how the entire operations is in fact being carried out. The fire rescue operations that has been given out right over here. We can see how the situation is. The Uttarakhand tunnel, we have the construction of rescue tunnel by the TNDC, which is in fact looking at the vertical. There are 2 vertical sites in which the drilling is in fact taking place. Meanwhile, RNVL is in fact having the horizontal micro drilling that has also taken place. And the 41 trackers, the workers that are tracked over there, you have the first option where is we have them going through the rubble completely. That was the first option that we are looking at, and the last option of course being from the barcode side where the tunnel is being also drilled out. So there are several other options that have been also put into place. Vertical drilling also taking place, horizontal drilling also taking place. So these are the options that have been put in place for them. But right now everyone hoping that the first option, that is the option through which it's drilled through the debris and reach out to the workers, in fact is working. That is the first option that they are looking at. So as we can see, these are the options that are there in front. 41 workers were in fact trapped after the collapse. One of the biggest worries, of course, is to ensure that the debris does not further collapse. They want to ensure that further collapse of the tunnel doesn't take place. So that is one option that they are looking at. They are hoping they would be able to remove the debris and stabilize it so that the 41 workers would be able to crawl through the 900-millimeter diameter pipe that they are trying to in fact insert. Food and water as well as medicines and oxygen has been supplied to the 41 workers in that particular location, and the efforts are also on to carry on with the other options as well, that is to look at 2 vertical drills as well as the RNVL horizontal micro drilling aspect as well. Well, the Supreme Court has clarified that if a governor refuses to sign a bill, it must be sent back to the legislature for review. This is significant because Article 200 of the Constitution doesn't explicitly outline the next steps if a governor withholds assent for a bill. Article 200 offers 3 options for the governor: approval, refusal, or sending the bill for the president's consideration. The provision in Article 200 specifies that the governor can return a bill to the assembly with a message highlighting aspects needing reconsideration. If the House reapproves the bill with or without changes, the governor is then obligated to give assent. In fact, this is what the Supreme Court has said. This is what the Supreme Court has said. If the first proviso is not read in juxtaposition to the power to withhold assent conferred by the substantive part of Article 200, which is to say that the governor, as the unelected head of state, would be in a position to virtually veto the functioning of the legislative domain by a duly elected legislature, by simply declaring that the assent is withheld without any further recourse. In Nepal's capital, Kathmandu, clashes have erupted between protesters and police on Thursday. The demonstrators were divided into 2 groups with different demands. One group, the Youth Organization of Nepal, linked to the main opposition Communist Party of Nepal, called for the removal of the current government led by Prachanda, citing corruptions and concerns over maladministration. On the other side, the pro-monarchy Durga Prasai group sought to reinstate Nepal as a Hindu state. The clashes between these groups led to injuries, with at least 30 people, including 5 policemen, being reportedly hurt in the clashes. Riot police used batons and tear gas to disperse the protesters. The youth organization Nepal staged their protest rally near the Tribhuvan International Airport in the Timkune area, while the Durga Prasai group organized their demonstration in the Balku area on the outskirts of Kathmandu. Both groups expressed dissatisfaction with the governments that have been in power since the monarchy was abolished about 15 years ago. They claim that these governments failed to fulfill commitments to the development of Nepal, which remains one of the poorest countries globally. The Irish police reported that 5 individuals, including 3 young children, were hospitalized after an incident identified by the local media as a stabbing in the city Dublin area. Prime Minister Leo Varadkar confirmed that the police had apprehended a suspect. According to a witness, a man making stabbing motions from across the road was in fact seen. As she approached, she discovered that 2 children had been stabbed to the best of her knowledge. Police indicated that 1 girl sustained serious injuries while the other 2 children are undergoing treatment for less severe injuries. An adult female is being treated for serious injuries and an adult male has been treated for less serious injuries, according to the police statement. Reports from local media stated that the incident occurred on Dublin's Parnell Square, adjacent to O'Connell Street, the city's primary thoroughfare. The scene, where approximately 20 officers were present, remains sealed off, according to the police. Finland has announced plans to close nearly all entry points along its border with Russia, aiming to curb the influx of asylum seekers from their neighboring country. The decision comes amid escalating tensions between the two nations, particularly following Finland's recent entry into NATO earlier this year.
Finland said it will close all crossing points on its border with Russia, except for the northernmost one, from midnight Friday. That's in a bid to stop a flow of asylum seekers, which Helsinki said was instigated by Russia as a retaliation for Finland's closer defense ties with the US. Helsinki angered Moscow when it joined the NATO military alliance in April following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Finland's Foreign Minister Elina Valtonen.
Russia is effectively instrumentalizing people, not only letting people through to the Finnish border with invalid documents or missing documents, which has not been the case before, but also we have evidence that Russia is effectively bringing those people to the border and organizing transport as well.
Since the beginning of the month, more than 600 people without valid travel documents to the European Union have come to Finland via Russia. That prompted Helsinki to shut several crossings and accuse Moscow of funneling migrants, a charge the Kremlin denies. This video, obtained by Reuters, shows several groups of people near the Russian-Finnish frontier walking in direction of the border. Reuters could not verify when the video was filmed. The EU's border agency Frontex said it plans to deploy more officers and equipment to Finland as soon as next week in response to a request from Helsinki. All the crossings except the Raja-Jooseppi checkpoint will be shut until December 23rd. Finns wanting to enter Russia will also be barred. The Finnish government said it will also seek to amend legislation that prevents it from closing the entire border. The Kremlin earlier said it had launched a formal protest over the partial border closure, accusing Finland of being Russophobic.
Well, that's all in this edition of The Bulletin. Stay tuned to News 9 for further updates.
China won't let us rest easy on our borders, but they will keep flooding our markets. What does Xi Jinping really want?
I think he wants the Indian market, no doubt about it. It's really a matter of showing their dominance.
India's great Chinese conundrum.
Nobody can contain it. Not the United States, not China, not anybody else.
Frenemies.